On this episode, we're going to be talking about how to sell items that are $3,000 to $10,000 and how to do it on demand with the Clients on Demand system creator himself.
Welcome to Thriving Launch with Louise Congdon and Kamala Chambers, the show for heart-centered entrepreneurs who want it all.
5 days a week, we bring you different segments to inspire you to live a life of freedom. We interview the leading experts in the field of business, health, and love. Be sure to check out Training Tuesdays, where we give you a clear action plan to grow your own business. Maybe you can relate to this. When I was a full-time coach, keep repeating the same things to people over and over and over again, and it got to be kind of draining, and I wasn't really enjoying what I was doing anymore. So what I decided to do was record the things that I had to tell clients over and over and over again, and then I packaged those recordings together and sold them as an online course. If you're interested in creating and selling your own online course, head over to thrivinglaunch.com, and I have a free training for you on how to create and make passive income through your own online course. We're here today with Russ Ruffino. He is the founder and the creator of Clients on Demand system. And you know, this guy, what he's doing is he's helping people learn how to sell programs that are $3,000, $10,000 and more. He's helped hundreds of entrepreneurs around the globe sell millions of dollars worth of their products and services, and we're excited to have him here.
All right, Thriving Launchers, we are here with Russ Ruffino. Russ, awesome to have you here. Are you ready to launch?
Let's do it, man.
All right, awesome. So one of the things I know about you is that you sell high-ticket offers. You're one of the masters at it. You're very good at selling high-ticket products. And I personally believe that every thriving business should have kind of this value ladder where they go from, maybe low-cost stuff to some very high-cost stuff. And I've heard from a lot of people, if you really want to scale and grow, you need to have some of those high-ticket offers. Otherwise, you're going to be hustling like crazy. But so many people are scared to offer these high ticket items. And I want to dive in with you. How do we just overcome the anxiety of making a pitch or making an offer, selling something that's $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 or $100,000? How do we get comfortable with even doing that?
Great question. All right. So the first thing is to realize is that high pricing actually benefits the client. It's a situation where you win. I mean, it's an obvious win for you because you hit your income goals much, much faster. I mean, let's say you're trying to get to $100,000 a month. If you have even a $5,000 offer and you get like 20 clients a month, you're there. So it's much, much, much easier to do that, to get to $100,000 a month, like in $5,000 chunks, than it is if you're selling like a video course for $97. You got to sell a hell of a lot more of those than you do of your higher ticket offer. So obviously it's a win for you, but the main thing to realize is that it's a win for a client too. And the reason why is because there's a huge difference between information and transformation. I don't know about you, but I've got so many products and so many programs collecting cyber dust on my hard drive that I'll never look at, I'll never go through, I'll never use. And I think that's true with almost everything in life. I mean, my God, every person that I know who's out of shape has a whole bookshelf filled with like diet books and weight loss books and exercise books and videos and all kinds of stuff. And so you start to realize that like, hey, there's a huge difference between knowing how to do something and actually doing it. And so the great thing about what happens when you make a high ticket offer is that people show up ready to work. If I'm investing $97 in someone's video course, it's like, whatever, I'll get around to it. But if I'm investing $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000 or $20,000 to work with someone, you can bet your ass that I'm going to show up ready to rock and roll. And I'm not going to show up because I'm curious or because I want to learn something. I'm going to show up because I actually want to create a change in my life.
There's real skin in the game, so to speak. When you said the thing about Cyberdust and all these programs, I have something like 50 different digital courses. I've gone through, maybe 15, 20 digital courses on my own and really have crushed it through these courses. but I have a lot of other courses that I just haven't touched, and I don't know if I need to. And then when you said the piece about transformation, that really got to me. That's something that's, when I think about life and education, honestly, I kind of feel like I know almost everything I need to about so many different subjects, but I haven't had the transformation to really take the action and to really move forward and do the thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what we found as we started to create these high ticket offers. I mean, like when I was doing, because look, I've done it both ways. I've done the low ticket thing. I mean, that's where I started, just because that's kind of where everybody starts. And what would happen is we would do these big launches and we would enroll maybe, I don't know, 2,000 people into some product. And it would be, I don't know, $50 or $90, whatever. And everyone would be like, Russ, I loved it. That product was awesome, man. That was so cool. And I would be like, yeah, okay, great. What are you doing with it, man? Tell me about your results. Tell me what's going on. And they'd be like, oh yeah, well, I'll get to, I'm going to get to it. I'm going to get to, implementing it. And I realized, like, well, what the hell am I doing? I'm doing these big launches. Sure, I'm making money. I mean, that's great. People are liking my stuff, but they're not really doing anything with it. And that kind of started to bother me, because I was like, look, it's not just about making money. It's not just about creating a lifestyle. I want to be making an impact too. And so I was like, well, look, what would happen if instead of selling 2,000 copies of something at like $97, I completely flipped the model on its head, and I worked with maybe 20, 30, 40 clients a month and charged them $5K or $10K or whatever? What would happen then? And what happened was, immediately my clients started getting some insane results where they were building, they weren't just, having a $10,000 a month here or there, and that was like a big breakthrough. And I had clients building $50,000 a month businesses, $80,000 a month businesses, $100,000 a month businesses, because they showed up ready to work. And the cool thing is that when you're only working with 20 or 30 or 40 people a month, you can really go to bat for them. You can hold their hand. You can make sure they get world-class support. You can make sure that you can even bring on like assistant coaches to help with things like mindset and accountability, to make sure that like they're really pushing through their fear. So what we've got now with Clients on Demand, and that's my company, by the way, is our offer is a really transformational offer where people come in and they work with us for 8 weeks. And at the end of the 8 weeks, their life, their mental habits, their income, the way they attract clients, all that stuff, it's like radically transformed, night and day difference. Now, it's not always easy. There's some blood, sweat, and tears. Right around week 2, people tend to kind of freak out and go, oh my God, this is real. I don't know if I can do this. But we hold their hand through that process, and they come out the other side with a totally different business. It's really cool.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about how to create a high ticket offer. And also, one question that we get a lot, so I might as well address it here, is what kind of pricing are you talking here? What kind of pricing do you recommend?
Well, everyone who comes to Clients on Demand, we don't work with just anybody. So that's the first thing to understand, is this isn't like, I don't know, what you would call like a biz op, where you're going, hey, we're saying, hey, are you like an assistant manager at Starbucks and you're 19 years old and you know what I mean? You don't know really anything about anything. Come, let's put together a $5,000 offer. We're not saying that. The people that we work with are people that have the expertise to solve a major life or business problem. All right. So that's the first thing, is I'm not, what I'm saying to you doesn't apply to every single person on the planet. You've got to be able to solve a major life or business challenge. And that could be anything from helping people get in shape, helping people fix their relationships, teaching people online marketing, teaching people how to get more leads. You could even have a service where you're doing graphic design or branding. These are things that solve big, big problems. So if that's what you've got, why aren't you charging between $3,000 and $10,000 for it at a minimum? Think about it, right? Let's say you're a fitness coach, right? And people work with you and they experience a real transformation. You dial in their nutrition, you get them working out, they start to lose weight, their blood markers look good, their cholesterol comes down, triglycerides comes down, all that stuff comes down. What are you doing for them? You're creating tons of confidence. You're creating more energy. You're literally adding 5 or 10 or 15 years to their life, aren't you? So to me, that outcome is priceless, right? It's priceless. If you were like, Russ, hey, I've got this magic pill, and you're going to live an extra 15 years, I would give everything I've got for it. So if that's the kind of transformation that you're creating, shouldn't you be charging $3,000 to $10,000 at least to do it? And the problem is, most of the people who are great at creating a certain outcome for people, they're just not that good at marketing. And they're certainly not that good at marketing like a high ticket offer or positioning themselves in that way. So that's what we empower our clients to do, where you come to Clients on Demand and maybe you've been doing relationship coaching for $100 an hour or something like that. We will help you figure out what is the coolest, most powerful outcome that you can provide. And maybe that's, I don't know, saving someone's marriage, for example. And then we go, okay, well, who do you want to create that outcome for? Well, I work with, professional people who are in a marriage and the marriage is falling apart. Okay, great. Then we design an offer that is just about getting that outcome. Where I work with you for a month or 2 months or 3 months or whatever it takes, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever. And I go through your program, and at the end of the program, my marriage is transformed. And you price that program, like I said, at anywhere between $3,000 and $10,000 on the front end. And then if you want to, you can have back end programs behind that. So, Luis, you talked about the value ladder. We actually don't do that. Our front end offer, our lowest priced offer, is our high ticket 8-week workshop. And then on the back end of that, we have an even higher ticket 12-month program for the people that want to go to to build a multi-million-dollar business. And that's it. We don't do any other low ticket offers whatsoever, because I just don't even want to offer anything unless I know it's totally transformational. Does that make sense?
Not only does it make sense, what I absolutely love about listening to you talk, Russ, is that we're getting a really nice window into the mindset that's really extremely important around having this transformation, around being able to offer and support people in this kind of way, because a lot of people, they have so many fears around offering a $5,000 or $10,000 program. And what I've seen is as soon as you start offering those $3,000 and $5,000 and $10,000 programs and up, what tends to happen is you start to attract clients who, like you said, and like I've personally experienced, Kamala's experienced, these are the people that they don't want to just set up some digital course and watch it from the comfort of their home and tune in whenever they want to or can. These are the people that are going to push and even force themselves a little bit beyond where they've been to get to where they want to go. And that requires a different level of mindset. It requires a different level of strategy. It requires a different level of playing, right? We want to play on a bigger field. And really, what you guys are getting here at Thriving Launch right now from Russ is that you're seeing into the mindset that's really important for you to have. And if you really believe in your products and services, then you need to know and really feel and know in your heart that you have something incredible to offer that can really change people's lives. And like you said, Russ, why not offer something of that scale so you can really create transformation? What do you think is one of the biggest hangups in having worked with so many clients and scaling in this fashion? What do you think is one of the biggest hangups and that people have, from going, well, I charge $100 or $200 or $300 a session. People might sign up. I have a $1,000 program people can sign up for. What do you think is the biggest hang up that people have to going, you know what, it's going to be, there's no more sessions, there's transformation, and it's $5,000. Like, you need to sign up for 5,000, 3-week program or 3-month program or whatever it might be. What do you think is the biggest hang up for people to start charging these kinds of fees?
Well, there's a lot of different hangups. It's hard for me to say which one is the biggest, but I'll just give you a couple pitfalls that I see people fall into all the time. The first pitfall is to position yourself according to the work that you do. Look, and I'll tell you what I mean by this, right? Part of our approach is that we teach webinars. I love webinars. I'm a webinar junkie. The problem is if I go out there and go, webinars, nobody cares. And so we see this all the time with coaches where it's like they got certified by so-and-so, or they're trained in like such and such a discipline or such and such or whatever. And that's all they want to talk about. Well, the truth is that your clients don't really give a shit about any of that. All they care about is like, what are you going to do for me? What's the outcome that you're going to create for me? So that right there is a big, big shift for most of the people who come in the program, where they're used to saying, oh, I'm a relationship coach, or I'm a business coach, or I teach, Kundalini yoga or something like that. Well, look, what does a Kundalini yoga teacher make? $100 an hour, $150 an hour? I mean, I can open the yellow pages and find 20 Kundalini yoga teachers. But when you start to reposition what you do in terms of the outcome that you create, now all of a sudden your value and the price you can command is like magnified exponentially. So I think that people are positioning themselves the wrong way. I think that people don't even realize that that's their true value, that what you do is special, and then what you do does change lives. And so when people come to work with us at Clients on Demand, like we spend the whole first week or so just getting your head around that so that you really understand it right down to the marrow in your bones. You understand, I am worth this much, and this is who I want to work with. This is who I don't want to work with, and this is the business that I want to build. And so that you're 100% faithful to that every single day. But then the second big pitfall is that even when we have someone who does get that, I mean, like let's say someone's listening to this podcast or whatever, and they're like, oh, this sounds awesome, Russ, I'm in. I'm going to start charging $5,000. It's like, okay, great. You also need a step-by-step strategy for actually doing that. Where are you going to get the clients from? What are you going to offer them? How are you going to serve them in such a way that it doesn't take away your freedom and actually creates more freedom for you? Where are you going to advertise? How are you going to pre-sell these people? How are you going to enroll these people? I mean, there's so many challenges that come up with it just making this happen. And I mean, actually the physically like putting the pieces together that, you know, trying to just dive in and not really knowing what you're doing or trying to do this without expert supervision is like a huge mistake. So either people just don't see their value, or the people that do see their value, they don't have a step-by-step game plan for making it happen.
Let's talk about actually selling high ticket offers, because just putting a high ticket offer on a website doesn't work. We need to have like just throw up a sales funnel.
Throw up a thing that says, hey, click here, it's $10,000 and just drive traffic to it and you're good.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear, we have lots of high ticket offers that we sell, but we don't even have them on our website. Do you think that's a mistake? Do you think we should at least have them and the price there for people to be aware of? And also just curious about how you would recommend going through the sale of a high ticket offer.
Okay, so that's a really big question, but I'll try to break it down as simply as I can. When I made that decision to go from charging a low ticket price to just selling this high ticket transformational program, right away, like reality just punched me in the face. I was like, okay, cool. Like, I mean, I was really stupid, honestly. I shut down all my low ticket offers, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to sell this high ticket thing. And then I had no idea how I was going to do it. So like there's a few months there where it was like there was almost no money coming in as I tried to sort of, figure this out. Because the challenges are exactly what you said. Like, where are you going to get the clients from? How do you enroll them? What's the process? What's the deal? And so I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on advertising just trying to sort of figure that out, what works and what doesn't work. But the cool thing is that after all that like blood, sweat, and tears and frustration, we were able to figure out a step-by-step process for enrolling people at a premium price, even when they don't know who you are. So the process is this, and I'll just give it to you kind of in a nutshell. We run ads on Facebook and Twitter and social media because those platforms allow us to target the exact people that we want, right? So we advertise there. Someone clicks on our ad. They go to a registration page for a webinar. They sign up. They watch the webinar. And on the webinar, we blow their minds. We that whole thing, that whole piece of it, just doing the webinar right is an art form in itself. But then at the end of the webinar, we make a really low-key pitch. Hey, look, if you like what we've said here and you want to talk to us about how we can help you grow your business, just click here and you can book a call with us. And they go and then they book a phone call with us. And then we get them on the phone and we enroll them into one of our high ticket offers. So the whole process is just Facebook ad, registration page, webinar, phone call. That's it. So there's only 4 steps to it. And what we found is that works not just in our market, which is, we teach, online marketing and high ticket sales, but we've got clients in spiritual development, personal development, nutrition, all kinds of stuff. And it works in all kinds of markets, and it's very elegant. And so what happens is once you've got all this up and running, some really cool stuff happens. As people go from browsing around on Facebook to seeing your ad, they click your ad, they watch your webinar, and within 24 to 48 hours, they're enrolling in one of your high ticket programs, even if they don't know who you are. And 90% of the people who sign up for Clients on Demand have never even heard of me. They have no idea who I am. You know what I mean? Because I don't do like a bunch of speaking gigs. I don't have a New York Times bestseller. It's like, who the hell is this guy? But the webinar and the marketing is so powerful that they go from clicking on an ad to enrolling at a premium price within 24 to 48 hours. And so the cool thing about that is it sets you free from having to do like all this content marketing, from having to do have like a high traffic blog, from having to grind out tons of videos, trying to have a hit book or whatever. You can go right for the throat. You can go right to enrolling the exact clients you want at the price you want and serving those clients without having to spend years building an audience.
That's fantastic. I love that. And I know a variety of people that are doing that, where they have a jam-packed webinar that is, really honed, they're doing everything right with their webinar. And then it leads to a phone call. And my question here, and guys, I know that you're probably wondering about webinars, because webinars in themselves are an art form. Like Russ, it makes it sound simple, but he did caveat that with, this is a simple step-by-step process, but it doesn't mean that it's easy, right? Just like losing weight, honestly, is a simple process, but it doesn't mean that it's easy, and it can be quite complex. The webinar stuff, you can go and check out some of our other interviews where we dive more into the webinars. But I want to ask you here right now, Russ, and for you guys listening, once somebody watches the webinar, do they go and fill out some form that allows you to kind of pick and choose who you're going to get on a call with? How are you selecting who should be on the call? Because that's another thing, is that people get really excited and they go, oh, I'm enrolling all these people on calls. And I'm like, yeah, but you could end up spending a lot of time on phone calls with people that just can't afford your services, or people who are trying to kind of get a free phone call, so you can waste a lot of time with that. Is there a certain process that you use to kind of help select that, to make sure that the value is there for both people involved? Because when I get on a call, I want it to be really valuable for the person that gets on a call with me, and there isn't going to be value if the person doesn't have the energy and the investment necessary to go there yet.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So screening, you have to be very, very clear with yourself about who you want to work with and who you don't want to work with. And you need to know exactly who you can help and exactly who you can't help. And I don't care if you're on the phone with someone, because this happens to us all the time. We'll be on the phone with someone and they will be like, dude, I'm in, credit card in hand, ready to rock and roll. But for whatever reason, that we know that they're just not somebody that's a fit. And it's up to us to have that moral obligation and honor that moral obligation to say, no, I'm sorry, man, it's not a fit. We can't work together. So it's very important that you won't just take money from anybody. You've got to be picky about who you work with, and you have to have the integrity to only enroll people that you absolutely know that you can help. Okay, so now that we know that, how do we weave that into our marketing so that we don't spend a lot of time talking to the wrong people, right? It's about, I always say this, if you want to catch a certain kind of fish, you got to use a certain kind of bait. So woven throughout this process that I just covered with you, from the Facebook advertising to the webinar to the phone call to the application to the calendar, all these things are designed to filter out the people that you don't want. Even more than that, they're designed to repel the people that you don't want and attract the people that you do. And when you do that right, you can make sure that you're only talking to people that are not only talking to, because you're going to talk to some people that aren't qualified, but mostly talking to people that are basically qualified. So like, just to give you an example, right? I'm a big fan of what I call radical transparency, right? So in December, so we're having this conversation in January 2017. So in December of 2016, I'll give you our actual numbers. We had 263 people book a call. After we eliminated the people we didn't want to speak to, we ended up speaking to 188 people. And we ended up enrolling 52 into our high ticket program. We did $560,000 in revenue collected in December.
I just want to leave a pregnant pause there.
Yeah.
For dramatic effect.
For dramatic effect. Yeah. So it's like, I mean, it looks like we closed about 30% of the people that we spoke to. We eliminated, so we got 263 people booked a call. We eliminated like 30% right out of the gate. We spoke to 188, ended up enrolling 52. And between the front end program and our mastermind, we collected $560,500 in revenue.
Fantastic. I love this. Before we close out, is there any last tip that, your supercharged tip that you want to leave the thriving launchers with?
Yeah, it's like when you shift your focus away from how can I make more money, and shift your focus onto how can I serve more people and really create an amazing outcome for them. In a way, like 90% of what we do just flows from that, where when we have meetings internally with me and my team, we're constantly asking ourselves, like, what can we do to get better outcomes for the clients, right? What do we need to change about our marketing? What do we need to change about our webinars? What do we need to change about our advertising so that we can attract the right people and get those people in the door, and those people actually take action and get a great result? That's what we live for. And so we really don't spend a lot of time thinking about how can we sell more people. We always spend time thinking about how can we serve the client better. And I just find that takes a lot of mental pressure off, because now I'm not going like, oh my God, how can we make more money? But also it keeps us in integrity, because everything that we do is about serving the client, and that's our primary focus. Does that make sense?
It completely makes sense. And the way that you've shown up here today really speaks to what you're offering, to who you are. And you've really given us an opportunity to have some transformation here at Thriving Launch around offering high ticket offers, how to do so, and the mindset behind the transformation necessary to be able to to start taking that plunge. Thank you so much for coming on Thriving Launch today, Russ. Thank you so much.
You got it, guys.
You've been listening to the Thriving Launch podcast. For books and resources related to today's episode, make sure to head over to thrivinglaunch.com. We'll see you there.
If you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure to tune into our next episode where we're going to help you find some more peace and really find a place for you to do the work that you're meant to do, but also do it from a place of stillness, calmness, and gratitude. And we'll be doing that with our guest, Gangaji. And as usual, if you've enjoyed today's show, make sure to subscribe on iTunes or whatever podcast feed you're using.